You paid for that pineapple, carried it home, cut it open, and it was sour, watery, a little sharp at the back of the tongue. You did nothing wrong at the counter, yet you lost. Here is the truth I wish somebody had handed me years ago. You can know if a pineapple is sweet or sour in about 5 seconds, before you buy it, without cutting it, without guessing. One quick move with your own hand tells you everything. This is an old Amish habit, the kind of plain kitchen knowing that got passed hand to hand while the rest of us learned to squeeze and shake and hope. It survived because it never needed a gadget, a label, or a sticker. And before we finish, I am going to show you a test written down in a household record from the 1800s. A trick so simple you will do it tonight with nothing but your nose and your fingers. You already own every tool this takes. I promise you that. I still remember standing at my own kitchen counter, staring at half a pineapple I had just paid almost $4 for. Sour as a lemon, the other half already sweating in the trash. That was the day I got tired of losing. So let me start where my trouble started, because I want you to see how much I got wrong before I got it right. For years, I thought buying a pineapple was luck, pure luck. You reach into the bin, you grab the one that looks gold, you carry it to the register, and you find out 3 days later whether you won or lost. I lost more than I won. I would say I threw out 1 pineapple in every 3 I brought home. Sour ones, watery ones, ones that looked perfect on the outside and tasted like nothing on the inside. And I did what everybody told me to do. I squeezed it. Somebody said a ripe one gives a little when you press it. So I pressed every pineapple in the store like I knew a secret. I did not know anything. All I did was bruise fruit and walk out with the same gamble in my bag. Then somebody told me to shake it. Listen for the seeds rattling loose inside, they said. So there I was, a grown adult, shaking a pineapple next to my ear in the produce aisle like a child with a wrapped present. It told me nothing. A pineapple does not rattle in any way your ear can trust. Then I bought the gadget. Of course I did. A little corer, a slicer, a thing that promised perfect rings every time. $22. And you know what that gadget could not do? It could not make a sour pineapple sweet. It cut the sour fruit into very neat, very sour rings. That is all a gadget ever does. It makes a nice job of your mistake. So this is what I want you to understand right at the start. The problem was never you, and it was never the pineapple. The problem was that nobody taught me how to read the fruit before I owned it. And reading the fruit is a skill, not a guess. It is older than any store you have ever walked into. Here is the first thing the Amish taught me, and it undoes almost everything the produce aisle trained into your hands. Stop looking at the top of the pineapple. Start with the bottom. Turn it over. The base, the flat end opposite the leafy crown, is where the fruit tells the truth, because a pineapple does not ripen the way an apple does. Once it is cut from the plant, it stops building sugar. It never gets sweeter on your counter, not one bit. Whatever sweetness it has, it already had the day it was picked, and that sweetness is heaviest at the bottom. Now here is the 5-second move. Lift the pineapple to your nose, base first, and breathe in right at that flat bottom end. If you smell a sweet, warm, honey smell bright, almost like the fruit is already open, that pineapple is sweet all the way through, buy it. If you smell nothing at all, no scent, flat and closed, put it down. It was picked too early and it will never catch up. And if you smell something sharp, a little sour, almost like vinegar or fermentation creeping in, that one has gone the other way. It is past sweet and sliding into rot. Sweet, nothing. Sour, 3 smells, 5 seconds, and you have your answer at the base every single time. I know how simple that sounds. That is exactly why it works and exactly why it got buried. The Amish never threw away a pineapple because somebody in that kitchen already knew to smell the bottom before it ever came inside. They read the fruit with the one instrument you were born with and never lose. Let me tell you about the leaves. because the crown of that pineapple is holding a message most people walk right past. Look at the leafy green top. Most folks think a big, tall, dramatic crown means a better fruit. It does not. What you want to look at is the color and the tightness of those center leaves, the small ones right in the middle of the crown. On a ripe, sweet pineapple, the inner leaves loosen. They relax. And one of those little center leaves, will pull free with almost no effort if you give it a gentle tug. That is the leaf test. Reach into the very center of the crown. Take one of the innermost small leaves between your finger and thumb and pull straight up, gently. If it slides out clean and easy, the fruit inside is ripe and ready. If it holds tight and fights you, refusing to come, that pineapple is still closed up and underripe, and it will not sweeten waiting on your counter. Why does that work? Because ripeness travels through the whole plant, not just the fruit. As the sugars settle and the fruit matures, the connection at the crown softens right along with it. A tight, stubborn leaf is a fruit that was rushed off the plant. A loose, willing leaf is a fruit that was allowed to finish. Now put the two together. The base smells sweet, and a center leaf pulls free easy. When both of those agree, you are holding a sweet pineapple, and I have not been wrong since I started trusting them together. Not once in years. Compare that to how I used to shop. Squeeze, shake, guess, pay, lose. I was doing 3 things that told me nothing and skipping the 2 things that told me everything. And here is the part that started to bother me the more I thought about it. Why did nobody teach me this? Why did I have to lose a pineapple in 3 for years before an Amish kitchen habit handed me the answer in 5 seconds? These tests cost nothing. They need no tool. They have worked for as long as people have carried this fruit into a kitchen. So who benefits when you and I stand in the aisle squeezing fruit like fools, walking out with a coin toss in a bag? Somebody does. Let me show you who. Because this is where the story stopped being about my kitchen and started being about a much bigger machine that was built while nobody was watching. Think about how that pineapple got to your store. It was picked in a field far away, often in Costa Rica, which grows a huge share of the pineapples sold across this country. And here is the thing about the harvest. A pineapple picked green and hard survives the long trip. It ships without bruising. It stacks well. It sits in a warehouse and on a truck and on a shelf for weeks, and it looks golden and handsome the whole way. But remember what I told you. A pineapple does not build sugar after it is cut. So a fruit picked green to survive the journey is a fruit that will never, ever be truly sweet. It was traded away. Its sweetness was sacrificed for its shelf life, because a bruised, sweet pineapple loses money and a hard, sour pineapple travels like a brick. That is the quiet trade that was made for you, without your say. The system was built to move fruit that looks ripe and is not, because looking ripe sells and being ripe spoils. And the squeezing, the shaking, all those useless tricks that get passed around, none of them read the one thing that matters, which is the sugar that is already locked inside or already gone. They keep your hands busy and your eyes on the outside while the inside stays a mystery until you are home and it is too late to take it back. The Amish never got pulled into that trade the same way, because so much of what came through their kitchens was grown close, traded local, and read by hand before it was ever trusted. When you cannot rely on a shiny sticker, you learn to rely on your nose and your fingers. And what looked like old-fashioned stubbornness turns out to be the exact skill that protects your money in a modern store built to fool you. So now you know why the base smells the way it does, and why a leaf pulls loose, and why the whole aisle was working against you. But there is a bigger problem hiding underneath all of this, and it is costing you more than the price of one sour pineapple. It is the way your whole approach to fruit was quietly turned upside down. Here is what I mean. We have been trained to buy for looks and hope for taste. Gold skin, green crown, no soft spots, buy it and pray. But the Amish habit flips that completely. You buy for the inside first, read from the base and the crown, and let the pretty outside come second. When I made that switch, everything changed. and not just with pineapples, because a pineapple is heavy for what it is, and weight is your third reading. Pick up 2 pineapples of the same size. One will feel noticeably heavier in your hand. That heavier one holds more juice, and more juice means more sugar and a riper fruit. The light one is drying out inside, going fibrous, losing the very thing you are paying for. 2 fruits, same size, same price, and one is worth double the other, but only your hand can feel the difference. The eye cannot see it. The sticker will not tell you. Sweet smell at the base. A center leaf that pulls free. Real weight in the hand. That is 3 readings, and every one of them takes seconds, and every one of them was known in plain kitchens long before any of us were born. And if you want to go deeper into exactly this kind of plain kitchen, knowing the habits that were passed down quietly and nearly lost, I want to tell you about something I put together for people like you. It is called Amish Kitchen, and it is a digital book that collects the real skills from plain kitchens. How to read food before you buy it, how to store it without waste, how to cook it simply and well. There is a companion volume called Deep Roots. And for those who want to go further, Amish Kitchen Mastery goes into the deeper methods that took me the longest to find. All of it is in the description below. And every page was written for the person who is tired of being sold a gadget when what they actually needed was knowledge. If this video spoke to you, those books will feel like home. But now let's get back to the fruit itself, because there is a second layer to reading a pineapple that most people walk right past. Now I can already hear some of you. You are thinking this is fine for somebody with a big country kitchen, a root cellar, a farm, a garden out back. You are thinking, I live in a small apartment, I have 1 drawer of tools and a counter the size of a cutting board. This old farm wisdom is not built for me. I want to talk to you directly for a minute, because you are exactly the person this saves the most. You are the one who cannot afford to throw away $4 of fruit. You are the one with no room to store a mistake, no second fridge, no garden to fall back on when the store lets you down. Everything I am telling you was built for exactly your situation, because Amish thrift was never about having more. It was about wasting nothing with what little you already had. And it all works on a kitchen the size of yours with things already in your drawer right now. Take that pineapple you tested and brought home sweet. Here is how you make it last in a small kitchen with no special equipment. Cut off the crown and the base. Stand the pineapple up and cut the skin away in strips, top to bottom. Now, before you cut it into chunks, here is the small kitchen trick that used to escape me completely. Cut it. Then store the pieces in a clean glass jar with a lid, and pour a little of the pineapple's own juice back over the top before you seal it. That juice is acidic, and that acid holds the fruit. Sealed in its own juice in the coldest part of your refrigerator, those chunks stay fresh and firm for 4 to 5 days, sometimes longer, instead of drying out on a plate under plastic wrap by tomorrow. And do not throw away that crown and those skins. This is the part that stopped me cold the first time I learned it. Put the skins and the core, the tough middle you would normally toss, into a pot, cover them with water, add a spoon of sugar or a little honey, and let it simmer low for half an hour. You just made pineapple tea, sweet and golden, from the parts you were about to throw in the trash. Strain it, chill it, and you have a drink that cost you nothing because you already paid for it. The Amish did not throw away the skin any more than they threw away the fruit. In a small kitchen, that core and that skin are a second gift, hiding in the garbage. So no, this is not farm wisdom that leaves you out. This is apartment wisdom, drawer and counter wisdom, exactly your size wisdom, and it turns 1 $4 fruit into sweet chunks and a pot of tea with nothing but a knife, a jar, and a pot you already own. But even after all of that, there is one more thing, one more trick. And this is the one I have been holding back, because this is the one that stopped me in my tracks when I first found it written down, and it undoes the last piece of what I got wrong for years. Everything I have told you so far reads the pineapple before you buy it. But what about the pineapple already sitting on your counter right now? The one you bought before you knew any of this? Are you just stuck with wherever the sweetness lands? For years I thought yes. You get what you get. The sweet part is the sweet part, and the sour top is the sour top, and there is nothing to be done. I was wrong, and the proof is older than I expected. When I started digging into where these habits came from, I kept running into the same idea in old household, writing from the 17 and 1800s, back when a pineapple was a rare and precious thing, so precious that wealthy households would rent one for a table display before anyone dared eat it. In those old kitchen and household notes, the ones that recorded how to handle a fruit too valuable to waste, there is a practice written down again and again, and it is the strangest, simplest thing. You store the ripe pineapple upside down. You stand it on its leafy crown, base pointing at the ceiling, and you leave it that way for a day before you cut it. Here is why. And here is the part that made me feel like a fool for every sour top I ever suffered through. Remember that the sugar in a pineapple is heaviest at the bottom, at the base, and lightest up near the crown. That is just gravity and how the fruit grows. The bottom is always sweeter than the top. So when you cut a normal pineapple, the first rings, the top rings, are the least sweet, and the sweetness only builds as you cut down toward the base. But turn that pineapple upside down and let it stand on its crown overnight, and the juices, carrying the sugar, drift back down through the whole fruit with gravity. The sweetness redistributes. It spreads. The sharp, sour top mellows because the sugar-heavy juice from the base migrates up into it. By the next day, the whole fruit reads more evenly sweet, top to bottom, instead of sweet on one end and sharp on the other. 5 seconds to turn it over. 1 day of patience. And a pineapple that was going to be sour at the top becomes a pineapple that is pleasant all the way through. That is the trick the old households knew when a single pineapple was worth more than most people earned in a week, when no one could afford to let the sour top go to waste. They did not have refrigeration or science labs. They had gravity, patience, and the plain observation that the bottom is sweeter than the top, so turn the top into the bottom and wait. I stood in my kitchen the first time I read that, and I thought about every pineapple I had ever cut into, every sharp first bite off the top that made me wince, every time I quietly decided pineapple was just a little sour by nature. It was not the fruit. It was that I never turned it over. I never gave the sugar a night to travel. The knowledge had been sitting in old household records for 200 years, and it had been pushed aside, replaced by squeeze it and shake it and hope, because nobody makes any money teaching you to flip a fruit upside down and wait a day for free. That is the whole thing, laid out end to end. Smell the base for sweet, nothing, or sour, pull a center leaf and see if it comes free. Weigh 2 in your hands and take the heavy one. Bring it home, and if you want it sweet from the very first ring, stand it on its crown overnight and let gravity do the work that no gadget can do. Not one of those steps needs a thing you do not already own. Not one of them costs a cent. And every one of them was known, used, and trusted in plain kitchens long before the fruit in your bowl was flown across an ocean picked green to survive the trip. I think about who kept this alive, because it would have been easy to lose. It nearly was. The families who kept reading fruit by hand, who kept turning pineapples over on the crown, who kept simmering the skins instead of trashing them, they held on to something the rest of us traded away for the convenience of a sticker that says ripe and a fruit that is not. And now it is in your hands. You are the one holding it. You get to be the person in your family who knows, who does not gamble at the register, who does not throw 1 pineapple in 3 into the trash and call it luck. Here is the feeling I want you to carry out of your kitchen today. You did not lose that money because you were careless. It was taken from you, a few dollars at a time, by a system that decided your fruit should survive a warehouse instead of taste sweet in your mouth. And today you took it back with nothing but your nose, your fingers, and a fruit turned upside down on the counter. If you are the kind of person who refuses to waste food, who is tired of buying gadgets that only make neat slices of your mistakes, who would rather trust your own two hands than a shipping label, then this is your kind of knowing, and there is a great deal more of it where this came from. So let me ask you one thing, and I really do want you to answer this one. When you cut into your next pineapple, tell me which reading you tried first. Did you smell the base? Did you pull the center leaf? Or are you going to stand it on its crown overnight and test that old upside-down trick for yourself? Type it right down in the comments below. Just tell me which one you tried, because I read them, and I want to know if that base smell told you the truth the way it tells me every time. And if you want to stand with the people who are quietly recovering all of this, the plain kitchen, knowing that got buried under gadgets and stickers, then come along with us and subscribe, because this is not a channel so much as a group of us putting the old skills back into our own hands, one habit at a time. Next time, I am going to show you the Amish way to tell if an egg is still good the second it comes out of the carton, not the water float test everybody knows, but an older one, a faster one, that works before you ever fill a bowl. It reads the egg in seconds, right in your palm, and once you see it, you will never trust a printed date on a carton again. Because that date on the carton is another number somebody chose for you. And by now you know how I feel about letting somebody else decide what your food is worth. You have the pineapple handled, turn it over tonight, smell the base tomorrow, and taste the difference for yourself. That first sweet ring off the top, the one that used to be sour, that is the taste of taking something back. And it took you 5 seconds and cost you nothing at all. I'm still here with you, and I'm so glad you stayed. This video gave you the pineapple. Inside the Amish kitchen circle, I continue right where we stopped, walking you through the whole fruit selection method. In there, you ask me your own question, and I answer you myself. You won't be alone, home cooks, like you are already inside. Just point your phone camera at the code on the screen. Cancel any time with one click.